through your freedom.
Consider this your trigger warning. The following program is strictly satire and is not meant to be taken seriously. So don't get all butthurt, you liberal snowflakes, just because we skewer your sacred cows and expose all your lies and hypocrisy. Truth hurts, and so does satire. So grab a drink, pull up a chair, and enjoy the show.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. And it is Sunday Night Live, the zoo to you and me. And it's just me tonight flying solo. Uman may step in, Jolene may step in, but we're going old school here, folks. It is the same as always. Sunday Night Live is your show. That means super chats. Get right up here. All right, I've got, Yankee Watchdog and Jay Muskinnis and Simon and Mikey and, let's see, Jody and Ogre MGTOW doing stuff with Nikki, Heidi, Nancy. We got everybody here. Chucker Hershey. Okay, looks like we got a full room. And, of course, Jay Muskinnis, the man himself, Rock Valley Ready in the house. Let's get it on, folks. We got a lot to talk about. Now, I need to say, I got a topic here. This is a good one. It's an old expression. The first casualty of war is the truth. The first casualty of war is the truth. We don't have the truth, folks. We're not going to get the truth. We're not going to get accurate facts. We're not going to get them from Iran or Israel or China or our own government. So, this is how I've gone at things. I am a registered Republican. Shouldn't surprise anyone, right? It used to be when I was younger, I would vote party line all the way down. It was easy. Republican, just vote. But, as we all grow up, as we all mature, we realize, hey, we're not getting the truth. Yeah. And in fact, I think the movie Platoon, which was probably the best ever movie, not just about Vietnam, but about war. That saying, that quote, the first casualty of war is the truth, was at the beginning of that movie. That is not to say that I don't think that Full Metal Jacket, which is about Marine Corps boot camp and urban combat in Vietnam, wasn't equally as good. They're just both superb. But anyways, when it comes to war, the first casualty is the truth. What we're getting right now out of what is going on in the Middle East is nothing but lies. You can call it propaganda, you can call it bending the truth, you can call it cherry picking facts, but it's not the truth. It's not the real facts. So what we're left with, you, me, us, is we're left using every source of data we can get from all sides. We need to weigh it, no matter who or where we get it from. We have to weigh it, grade it, value it. You have to assimilate into what we know already, run it through our own unique filters of perspective. And you are different than me and different than everyone else on here. We all have our own truth and fact filter. And we need to, once we assimilate that with everything else we know and believe, we need to keep learning. And I know that sometimes you'll learn a fact or a piece of information could dislodge an old piece of information. So we're constantly clearing out garbage and introducing more to try and build the most accurate picture about what's going on. And what have we learned, folks? We've learned this. This just popped up. Simon says AIPAC owns both parties. That is a fact. Who is AIPAC? Well, it's the American Israeli Pedophile Action Committee. They own both parties. All over the internet, you'll see, thank you, Simon, you'll see a representation of Congress, right? Like all those little seats, hundreds and hundreds. And then it'll show blue and red and then, black. That's the group that's bought and paid for. Both sides of the aisle, Democrat, Republican. You see, it's the way rich people, rich bankers, royalty, but in modern democracies, modern republics, modern parliamentary systems, what the rich and the bankers have figured out, and the aristocracy, is you support both sides of the political question. That way, no matter who wins the elections, no matter who is in a seat of power, no matter who is controlling, you have the ability to influence and direct them. And so they influence and direct both sides. All right, folks, it is Sunday Night Live, and that's how we got here. Super chat button's right up there, and that'll get you on the screen here. So back to Iran and the conflict over there. What have we learned? All governments have lied, all governments are corrupt, and all governments treat us just like slaves. No exceptions. And the dumbest among us, and you know who they are. We know who they are. We know who the dumbest are. They just don't give a shit. They know nothing, and they're brainwashed into whatever. Let's see. Somewhere in the middle are those who accept propaganda and live according to the desires of others. Those are the hardcore MAGA who can never see anything wrong, or the hardcore Democrats who always look at the communist side, right? They're in the middle, and they accept only propaganda that others give them. Now, those at the top, and I'm not talking about people, I'm talking about the governments that control things. They have all the real information, and they don't use it as a way to inform us. They use it as a tool to try and control us, releasing just what they want us to know. But folks, there's a lot of us, not just in America, but around the world, as evidenced by the crowds we have from around the world. Like we have Alan Meyer Jensen, we have Rami Marish, we have Bob Smith, we got Stephen Conlon, we've got lots of people, right? For those of us who know a lot more than the average news hound, but don't have these raw facts that the leadership, political leadership has, we're in a zone completely different than the rest of the world. I think I've come to accept that. We accept only our own opinions. We filter all of their news and information to make sure we get what we want. And we, I've realized, are the ones that government and the media call conspiracy theorists, and all the governments discredit us. Welcome to the club, folks. It's the Prepared Mind Club. We've got jackets if you want to wear them. But here's the deal, right? The government is now acknowledging a lot of our conspiracy theories as being real. Real. Okay, let's do this. Every Sunday, it's your show. Super chats get priority, get put up on the screen, and we're going to start tonight with two. Two. Let me make sure I've got. Oh, there it is. I was going to say, we start with two $50 super chats. And the $50 more gets me a Glenn Levitt 18. Next week, I'll be switching over to the, this is Glenn Fiddick. I'll be switching over to the Glenn Levitt again. Anyways, we got the old shot glasseroo here. Darcy T checks in. Okay. Cheers to you, Darcy. $50 super chat through PayPal. Down below, we do have PayPal, Venmo, and CashApp. Otherwise, super chat button there. But here we go from Darcy T. Oh, yeah. And we're kicking the show off. She says, here's my comments for tonight's zoo. This is something that I sent you a few days ago. As we navigate through the unrest in the Middle East, I'm now hearing about a new coalition being pulled together by Trump called Shield of the Americas. According to Trump, their purpose is to combat drug cartels in the Western Hemisphere, and Kristi Noem will be the special envoy for that group. Kristi Noem was formerly the head of the Department of Homeland Security, DHS. She got moved over to this Shield of the Americas, or Escudo de las Americas. Right? According to Trump, their purpose is to combat drug cartels in the Western Hemisphere, and Kristi Noem will be the special envoy for that group. This has me scratching my head on one hand and becoming a bit paranoid on the other. I mean, the potential for this multinational military organization to be used outside of their intended goals could be a reality. So far, the following countries have been invited to a summit to discuss the plan. Here comes the name of the countries, folks. Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, Costa Rica, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, El Salvador. They were invited with guns a couple of weeks ago. Guyana, right next to El Salvador. Honduras, Panama, Paraguay, Trinidad, and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago is one country. Call me a conspiracy theorist. Okay, Darcy, you conspiracy theorist. But does anyone else get concerned about a powerful multinational military force that can straddle borders in order to get the bad guys? What if the bad guys at some point are us? That's always been a concern. Several years ago, we had a lot of trouble, a lot of worry about the North American Union, which was supposed to join Canada, the U.S., and Mexico to form a sort of European Union-like organization. And they were going to have super highways running up from Central America through Mexico into our country. There are going to be no borders, if you remember that. But look at what we have going on. I think Darcy's concerns are 100% legitimate. 100% legitimate. What did we get? Well, America absolutely rejected the Amero, which was going to be the coin, the North American Union, which had a complete setup as a violation of our Constitution and constitutional duties and restrictions. You know, the Constitution. Well, it kind of went away. But then we got Obama, who trashed everything he could in America. And then we got Trump, who did nothing to fix anything. And then we got Biden, who literally opened up the border to 25 or more million illegals, not just from Mexico, but Central America, South America, Northern Africa, Eastern Africa, Western Africa, the Middle East, and the Far East, aka Southeast Asia. We've got nothing but flooded with anti-Americans. And Trump was like, we're going to get rid of them because that's what America wanted. That's what we wanted, right? And then just a few weeks ago, actually, I take it back, a couple of months ago, Trump floated the idea, we're just going to give amnesty to these people here, you know. And then he got yelled at for that. And they got yelled at for the Epstein thing. And by yelled at, I mean you and me, the people of America, fucking threw an absolute fit. I told him, and then he threw it back at us, said he doesn't need us. We're idiots. It's a hoax. Epstein's bullshit. And now he's telling us we're just gonna leave these people here. They're good people. They're working in the fields and they work hard. That's not what we voted for, asshole. Right? And then, hey, I got the Board of Peace. It's more like the Board of War. It's doing the opposite. He's bombed more countries in 1 year than even Obama. And Obama was the most drone bombing motherfucker on the planet. Here we are. Yes, we're conspiracy theorists because we don't accept what any government says or any news media says or anything. We collect the information and run it through our own filter. So I take being called a conspiracy theorist as a compliment. It's not a pejorative term. It means you aren't willing to accept mainstream media. You're not willing to accept the government's ideas. You're not willing to accept a political party's position. You need we all need to, you and me, we all need to check for ourselves. Check for ourselves. Trump said that, yeah, we're going to get rid of all of this transgender shit, this LGBT shit. But then, how about this? How about this? It's okay to transition children with gender and genital mutilation, drugs, and surgery, as long as the parents are good with it. You know what I saw today online? Let me tell you what I saw online. I saw a child being held down and having transgender hormones injected in them against their will because the mother was standing there saying, no, this is what he wants. He wants to be a girl. Unfucking believable. First off, Father No says, Big John, you're awesome as fuck. I'm only as good as you guys are out there. I'm not any better than any of you. You guys make this show awesome. We've got 218 people here live right now. Share the internet address up there. Get people on here. Send it text. Send a fax message. I don't care. Email, phone call. Let people know. Thank you there, Father No. You might be related to Dr. No. Who knows? So Simon says, hey, Shield of America. This is what Darcy T is talking about. Has the CIA written all over it? The answer is yes, it does. It truly does. It stinks to high heaven. Because anything the government does can be abused. And when you start combining multiple nations, they all abuse each other, then point to each other and go, oh, no, they're the problem. We're not the problem. Can't blame us, your own government. It's the other government. For example, the United Nations. The United Nations, right? There you go. The United Nations. Well, it's not America. It's the United Nations. No, we have our sovereign government. The United Nations doesn't get to override any of it. It's crazy. So Big Dan the man checks in. Dan Erickson with a $5 super chat donation. Thank you, Big Dan. He says the fuel is going up quick. The food and other goods will also because of the war in the Middle East. Watch your six for sleeper cells could get ugly. Big Dan, I can't agree with you enough. Fuel is going up very fast. I got a text message from Ooman. It went up like $1 a gallon for diesel up in the greater Chicago area. California, I've been seeing a lot of fuel prices being posted online. And I think a lot of them are lies because it'll say like premium is $7.89 and mid-grade is $7.79 and regular is $7.69. Like there's only 10 cents difference when you get up that high. As it is right now where I'm at, it's like $3.50 for regular, $3.75 for mid-grade, and $4.25 for premium. There's a big disparity. So there's a lot of bullshit out there, my friends. Once again, I question everybody, especially social media, but I use it as a source to gather information. You go out there, look, see what's going on. But I've seen the fuel go up. I've gotten a lot of reports, but also food and other goods, it's going to go up. We have a serious problem in this war. Serious problem. We're going to get into a lot of it. I want to know what you guys are thinking. Thank you, Big Dan. Really appreciate the great support. In fact, all Super Chat donations go to not only buying bottles of scotch, but they get tuna fish, Spam. Also, folks, keeps the lights on, keeps me from having to work 3 jobs. So thank you to all of you. And we've got another big Super Chat coming up here. Oh, yeah. Whoops. Poured that one a little heavy. And this is from Chin Music. Chin Music did a $52.43 Super Chat donation via Venmo. And that's a $50 Super Chat plus a $2.43, which is kind of like AT&T. That's the caliber that you can use to reach out and touch someone. Here's to you, Chin. Sometimes you want to breathe. You try and just bring it down nice and easy. It'll get you. It'll get you. Okay, so Chin Music. He said the main problem, this is Chin Music's opinion. Let's listen and think, right? The main problem with everything going on in this administration. Let's see. Uman just sent me a real picture. 503, 525, 549, diesel at 579. That is realistic. Thank you, Mr. Uman. That's a realistic. Yeah, there's a significant difference between the different fuel types. Very good. Very good. Okay. Chin Music just sent me a bonus as well. The main problem with everything going on in the Trump administration can be traced to one person, I believe. This is Chin Music opinion. Susie Wiles. Susie Wiles was hired by Netanyahu to help him get elected in 2020. Meaning Netanyahu hired Susie Wiles to help Netanyahu get elected. And she is controlling who has Trump's ear, in my opinion, says Chin Music. Just look at who wasn't in the room before he announced the attack on Iran. Notably, no Tulsi Gabbard. She's the DNI, Director of National Intelligence, and no Vice President J.D. Vance. Susie Wiles is AIPAC. Susie Wiles is very powerful. Susie Wiles, Trump said, is the most powerful woman in the world. Susie Wiles is Jewish. She's an Israeli. And they are controlling Trump magnificently, if you want to give them credit where credit is due. I can't argue with any of that, right? Who is in the room? Who is controlling Trump? The other one, of course, that a lot of people believe is controlling him is Lutnick, or Licknut, if you prefer. He is Trump's Secretary of Commerce, and he's the one that likes to stand around behind Trump, regardless of the discussion points. He's always around Trump. He's the one that likes to laugh and chuckle hysterically anytime someone mentions Epstein or the Epstein files or children that have been raped. He seems to think that's funny. But Trump, my friends, is now getting involved in the midterm elections. Trump is getting involved in the midterm elections. So he's going to be flying into Thomas Massey's district with Air Force One to campaign for Thomas Massey's rival, who is a Israeli first pick. I don't think that we, the American people, should be paying for that. I really don't. I think it's a little bit obscene. I can see him, campaigning, I don't know, giving an endorsement. But flying Air Force One in, it just leaves kind of a shitty taste. But Chin Music says, hey, we're in big fucking trouble because Trump is down in the Senate runoff and pissing everyone off in Texas. Politics is war, my friends. Politics is war. And the first casualty of war is always the truth. Okay, let's go back here. Folks, if you've got something to say, super chat button is right up there. And let's see, in order to do that, you've got to be a subscriber for 5 minutes. You got to be a subscriber for 5 minutes before you can comment. So make sure you're a subscriber. Thumbs up and share the internet address with other people. We've got a lot more to talk about. We're going to go from 6 o'clock Eastern time to 8 o'clock Eastern time. And I know that it's a little goofy because we have daylight savings time. So, you can see through the old skylight there. We got a lot of sun coming in. And, it's going to be dark in the mornings again. Oh, there we go, right? Well, I've got one for you here. This could change Trump's policies, don't you think? Send Barron Trump to war. Get him a flak jacket and a one-way ticket. A lot of people are calling for Barron to be drafted. He's 19. And today, who is that little girl that is Trump's spokesperson? In fact, I'm kind of getting irritated. I'm kind of getting irritated with all these presidents picking little women and trying to rely on their cuteness. It's just frustrating, you know, because they just, how do you put it? How do you put it without sounding like a anti-feminist, right? I want someone who knows what the fuck they're doing. Someone that's been in politics and the military and the economy for at least 20 fucking years, maybe 30 years. So they really grasp everything instead of looking like someone who just got out of college, as smart as they are, as cute as they are, right? As clever as they are, as witty as they are. I want them to have some fucking experience before they stand up there and tell me how good the economy is when all they're doing is reading talking points. I want someone who actually knows. But once again, they'll probably just fucking lie anyways. But at least look and sound like you've been around the block. You know what I mean? For fuck's sake. Right? It's crazy. All right. Let's do this, folks. Let's have some fun. Let's get this guy up here. Bruce checking in with a $20 super chat donation. He says, all we need to do is start pushing to our county courthouses, every state, every county. All we need to do is start pushing to our county courthouses, every state, every county. Well, I need more information, Bruce. Give me some more information on that, because I don't know what you mean with respect to start pushing. Are we talking about elections? Are we talking about local elections? Are we talking about state? Are we talking about the president? Where are we going with this? Are we talking about taking court cases over children? I don't know, gender changes, the Epstein files. You know, how do we get this? Very interesting comment, but I want some more direction on it so I can answer it correctly. All right. Now back to Barron. While I'm waiting for Bruce, back to Barron. A lot of people are calling for it, but the White House spokesperson, she says that they're going to have a draft, possibly, which would include women. Well, hey, if they can include women, can't we include Barron Trump? In fact, Barron should have to go. I think anyone in politics who has any authority, that includes, White House cabinets. Oh, shit. Okay. Hang on to that thought there, Bruce. If you are in the president's cabinet, if you are senior admin, if you're in Congress, if you're congressional staffers, there it is, right? Congressional staffers, congressional lawyers. If there is any draft, their kids, and we're talking age 17 to age 40, I don't give a fuck, have to be drafted. They have to have some skin in the game. They have to be willing to tell their boss, I agree with you so much, boss. Yeah, we should draft because I'm going to send my kid. You think staffers that work for Congress are going to keep working for them if they could lose their children? Lawyers, senators, right? You got people like Light and the Loafers, Lindsey Graham, who has no idea what a vagina is. He's a butt pirate. He doesn't have any kids, so what does he care? Anyways, let's go with this. Bruce gives us some clarification. All we need to do is start pushing to our county courthouses, every state, every county. He's talking about just start arresting them. I think what he is talking about is a groundswell up way to fix the country, right? We're not gonna change the country because voting hasn't fixed Washington in the entire 56 years I've been alive. I'm with you, Bruce. It hasn't done a bit of fucking good. Voting for Congress, voting for the senators, voting for the president, voting on everything we can hasn't changed anything. In fact, all we've seen is get it gradually more controlled by the America-Israeli Pedophile Action Committee. And big corporations and the military-industrial complex. And, of course, any pedophile that wants to say, hey, look, I got pictures of you. You better do what I say. So, yeah, all we need to do is start at our bottom level. County courthouses. Every state, every city, county, and state, we could take it back. He says just start arresting them. Now, arresting who? Local politicians, local judges, local chiefs of police, even local sheriffs. The trick is you have to be willing to trade your life to obtain that which you seek. Freedom isn't free. And now, I am not recommending anyone follow Bruce's suggestion. And he's not, he's just, this is a something to discuss. If we, as the people of the United States of America, started going to our local city councils and saying there's criminals and locking them up, if we started going to our state representatives and doing citizens arrest, now, of course, you have to have evidence of a crime. Crime has to have been committed. You have to have evidence that person that you want to arrest is part of it, right? Because we have to hold a trial, do we not? Anyways, if people started doing this, what would happen? The police would lose their shit. They'd lose their nuts. They'd lose their crap. They'd fucking freak the fuck out. Same with the sheriff's department. What would they do, though? There's not enough of them to stop us. There wasn't enough of them to stop a bunch of stupid fucking kids throwing frozen water bottles, rocks, bricks, and explosive fireworks at cops back in 2020. They couldn't even stop that. What makes them think they could stop angry, pissed off, constitutional Americans with guns? I'll tell you what would happen, though. I tell you exactly what would happen if we just started arresting them. They would all run and flee. Now, local politicians, probably not. County politicians, probably not. There would be gunfights all over the place. Talk about regime change. At the state level, they would probably flee. They would stay at the state capitol and demand state police, and then they would demand that the National Guard come and protect them. And if you tried arresting U.S. senators and U.S. congressmen and women, you bet your ass they're going to flee. They would never come back to their district, or they would flee their district. Remember, politicians are the biggest fucking cowards on the planet. They are. They used to have morality and respect and decency. What a mess. Absolute mess. Thank you for the great super chats there, Bruce. We got more. We've got a lot more to talk about, right? A lot of people are wondering, how do we fix it? This is interesting. Oh, yeah, by the way, super chats right up here. It's that button, gets you on the screen. I'll make you famous. Real, normal, regular Americans are now protesting the Epstein files. They're protesting, saying we need to save the children. They're showing up all around the country right now. All over the country, they're showing up with their own signs. They're marching to protect the children from these pedophiles. They're demanding the Epstein files be fully released. They're demanding the Epstein files turn into the Epstein trials. They're talking about it, folks. They're talking about it. They're demanding it. They're putting signs up on freeways. They're marching up and down. Even in Hollywood, California, Americans out there saying, done with it. Now, this is not money. These are not protests coming from the George Soros gang. It's not coming from non-government organizations overseas. What I'm seeing looks like grassroots, regular people. They don't have bullhorns chanting ridiculous chants, right? They're just tired of what's going on and they want arrests. Now, a lot of trouble, folks. There's a big push to use the 25th Amendment to get Trump out of office, claiming he's lost his fucking marbles. Lost his fucking marbles. You got something to say, folks? Super chat button up here. A lot of people are saying he's lost his marbles. I think that he is absolutely controlled. Absolutely controlled. 100% controlled. Trump is. There's this idea that there's only three ways that this war can go, and that is Trump acts like he won, walks away, and leaves the area a fucking mess. And one of the big ones that's most scary, though, is, of course, the idea of using a nuclear weapon to attack Iran. I thought we wanted regime change, right? Regime change. Well, we did have some regime change success over the weekend, folks. You may or may not be aware of it. Well, it's like sort of regime change. The the king of Bahrain, Hamad bin Isa al Khalifa. I'm getting better at these names. He has left the country. He's more than just Elvis out of the building. He's left the country. So the king of Bahrain has fled the country. He's abdicated. He's left the throne. The people have allegedly, apparently, overthrown the Israeli U.S. puppet regime in Bahrain. Whoops. Basically, what the claim is that the king of Bahrain is an ally of the U.S., an ally of Israel, and basically is just a puppet. He was a puppet king. But apparently the people of Bahrain are so pissed off that they're being struck by missiles, either from Iran, or they're being struck by missiles and explosives and bombs from Israel to make them victims, to try and increase support for this war. It's funny, isn't their fucking thinking strange? In order to increase support for the war, we need more bombings and more killings. That's the best way to have it. Well, in all truth, it works. If they have a false flag, if we have a terror attack in America, we're going to be so pissed off, we're going to want to blame somebody, right? We're going to want to blame somebody. But do you think America is going to instantly blame Iran? Or do you think that if we get bombed, the American people are going to be like, wait a minute. They've had years and years and years to do this. Yeah, we've got people all over the place from other countries, but have we had enough 9/11s? Have we had enough Oklahoma City bombings? Have we had enough bullshit attacks by our own government or our own allies, like the USS Liberty attack in 1967 by Israel? That was created in an effort to draw the United States of America into another Israeli war with Egypt. Yeah, folks, I tell you, it's looking interesting here. Now, Iran did have a nuke from Russia, says Alan Meyer Jensen, but the morons could not get it in the nose cone, just like they can't fly Russian jets. All Russian pilots, same as in the FX Korean War. We've got a lot of trouble, folks. If Iran had a nuclear weapon, do you think they would use it? Now, they say they want to wipe Israel off the face of the planet. They say death to America, but they haven't attacked anyone. They just haven't. They have all these missiles, and they're bombing the ever-loving shit out of Israel. Right? They're bombing American bases. Trying to keep up with the comments also, folks. Tricky business. But they haven't attacked Israel. Iran was attacked by Israel. Iran hasn't attacked the United States of America, even though it's been a worry of mine for a long time, a worry of all of America, because we keep being told that they say death to America and they could have a nuclear weapon in just a matter of months. Right. All right. Let's do this. Everyone should know who Nick Fuentes is, right? He's a younger guy, and he's made many comments lately. And so I asked the computer to sort out, and give me what Nick has been saying. He is now saying the United States of America is an occupied nation under a hostile alien or foreign occupation, or a hostile foreign force. He is saying, of course, we are occupied by Jewish and Muslim forces, right? Israel is the fifth column. You know, he's urging Americans, regardless of political affiliation, you know, Republican, Democrat, race, whether you're black, white, or brown, or religion, Christian or Muslim, to unite against this perceived occupation. It's funny how the computer says it's perceived. We've got nothing but trouble. Do you believe? I'm asking you guys, the audience. Do you believe that we're occupied by a foreign enemy controlling our government, and that they have a foreign influence and force inside our country? I really do. I do, because never in my freaking life have I ever heard the President of the United States, no matter what party, have I ever heard him say, we're getting to be too anti-Semitic. What? Why are we anti-Semitic? I'm pro-Semitic, right? You just have to be a Semite for it to matter. Right? These people that are claiming that everyone else is anti-Semitic, no one's being anti-Semitic. We're criticizing Israel, a secular state. There's nowhere in the Bible, folks, that says we have to obey a secular nation that was created by the Rothschilds in 1948. But they want us to believe that's part of some kind of a religion, that we're supposed to believe it. And in fact, why the hell is the government pushing religious crap anyways? What happened to separation of church and state? Yeah. Well, America's the dog, and man, does it have a lot of Israeli fleas, huh? All right. Let us continue. The United States government is completely bought and paid for. Then that trickles down into appointed positions in the bureaucracy. Do you remember when the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, said, "It is not a crime to party with Jeffrey Epstein"? Yeah, that sack of shit said that. As an apologist and as a cover-up, this attorney for the government is covering for child rapists. This guy works for Trump. He works for Bimbo Bondi. He works for Kash Patel. And he says it's not a crime to party with Jeffrey Epstein. Right now, a congressional member has basically pointed to this defense and says, hey, wait a minute here. Wait a minute. He reminded the Department of Justice that patronizing human traffickers, a human trafficking ring, is in fact a federal crime. But okay, TikTok, is anyone getting arrested? That's the problem. Okay, a congressman says, hey, look. He said basically the same thing I've said. You cannot give aid and comfort to the enemy. You cannot give aid and comfort to a criminal. You can't, before or after the fact, help them with the crime, cover up the crime, avoid criminal consequences. That is aiding and abetting. That is it's unfucking believable. I've seen a couple of things swing through on the comments here that oil is up big time around the world. Asian markets are now up and waking up. Let's see. Yeah, it's going to be hard to shuffle through this. Where the hell is oil even? I can't do this. I can't do my job and and Uman's job at the same time. There's crude oil. It's only up $17.29. 19%. It's up 19%. Folks, go fill your gas tanks after the show. Anyways, yeah, right now, you bet every 7-Eleven employee has woken up from this back room nap, is out there with one of those sticks that has numbers, and he's changing the numbers on the sign, unless he's got one of those electronic signs. Good golly, right? Good golly, Miss Molly. Unbelievable. You know what's interesting? Yeah, in war, what happens? Oil and gold go up. But surprise, silver is down. Not surprised, gold is even. But, folks, we've got trouble. Let's continue if we shall. Are we? Okay. I've got something here that I titled Summary of the Problem with Iran. This is what we're supposed to believe coming from the government, okay? Iran killed 60,000 of their own civilians. That's bad. Israel killed 600,000 Palestinians. We need to liberate Iranian women. Wait, these are all reasons we need to go to war with Iran, right? Wait, Iran has nukes. In just a few weeks, they're going to have nukes. No, wait. They must have rebuilt the nukes we destroyed last summer. No, wait. They're going to bomb us, the USA. No, wait. Israel forced us to attack Iran. We forced Israel to bomb them first. Wait. October 7th was the Holocaust, right? We're at war. And simultaneously, it's not a war. If you don't accept everything you're told, even when it's contradictory, you're an anti-Semitic terrorist, Nazi sympathizing conspiracy theorist. Okay, I got that out of the way. I feel a lot better now. Now, I saw a few comments in here. Nick Fuentes is a CIA stooge, and also so is Alex Jones. We've got a lot of stoogery going on, folks. A lot of stoogery. Let's go with this, though. We got out of the crowd, out of the audience. We've got Viking, a.k.a. Boomer, with a $20 super chat. And he says, hey, Trump stated from the very beginning that he'll never allow Iran to go nuclear. So you're getting what you're voting for in that regard. Also, no ballistic missiles either. Also, you can bet they would use a dirty bomb as well. Are we talking about the Iranians, Viking? What I heard Trump say was no new wars, no regime changes. Now, I understand that he's also said we're not going to let Iran have a nuclear weapon. Iran and the United States of America, and maybe some other allies, they actually had an agreement, like a treaty that said Iran will not build a nuclear weapon. And then the United States of America said, we don't want to be part of that anymore. So Iran's like, well, then I guess we're going to build a nuke, right? It has something to do with the non-proliferation agreements, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a problem here, right? How can you say on the one hand, you're not going to allow Iran to have nukes, but on the other hand, say you're not going to do regime change, no more wars? A little bit contradictory. I am having information overload. There's a lot to think about here, and your guys' comments going by. Let's see. Yes. Okay, we're going to continue with this. It's the contradictions, right? That's why we're conspiracy theorists, is because we hear one thing and we hear another completely contradicts it. We're not going to do regime change. We're not going to do new wars, but we're not going to let Iran have a nuclear weapon. Now, they were negotiating. Trump was negotiating with the Board of Peace. Trump was negotiating with Iran. it's been reported that Iran agreed to concede and allow the United States to check their stuff, right? They agreed to stop the bullshit, in other words. But then here we are. How can you agree to something and then bomb them, right? Like as soon as Iran said, okay, we don't want war, we agree, and then they get bombed. Now, is that Iran lying? Or is that the United States of America and Israel saying, fuck it, we actually want the war. We didn't want you to concede. I tell you, folks, very good. You know, Trump did state that he won't allow them to go nuclear. To see a nuclear Iran cannot hit the United States of America because they don't really have an intercontinental ballistic missile. They have ballistic missiles, but they don't have one that could reach us. Now, could they put it on a submarine? Well, first they have to figure out, how to miniaturize it and actually there's like years of steps between them having enriched uranium and weapons grade enriched uranium and then a working atomic or nuclear device, and then ultimately an atomic device that works, that is miniaturized, that goes on in the ICBM, that can reach America. See, there's a big difference between the two and our level of concern, right? And also no ballistic missiles either. Now, so you're getting what you voted for in that regard. See, we get doublespeak, right? We get absolute doublespeak. Gold has just dropped $31 an ounce, and silver is now down $1.27 an ounce. And crude oil is, well, it appears to still be at 108.53. Yeah, it seems pretty flat now. They're all in shock. What a world. Well, I tell you what, it wouldn't surprise me. I think that, and this is interesting, and I don't want it to sound callous, but of all the cities in the United States of America, there's one city that if we lost, it would be probably a great benefit. And it's hard to say this to the rest of the country. I would hate for Iran to come and take out, pick a city, Houston. I would hate for them to pick out a nice city like Dallas, say. Their problem is in Washington, D.C. Their problem is Washington, D.C. politicians. That's the head of the snake. If they want to call America the great Satan and that America needs death to America, they would bomb Washington. If you were to bomb any North American city, any American city, that would be the one to do, because that's where their problem is, and it would affect the rest of the country the least. That's the fucking problem, is Washington. That's why all the money from AIPAC goes to Washington, because they know that's where the control is. So if Iran's going to bomb anyone, it's Washington. And I don't think Washington wants that. I think Washington knows they're in the target zone, right? And would they use a dirty bomb? Nah, more than likely, you bet they would. But have they used a dirty bomb? Crazy world. Crazy, crazy world. Thank you very much. We've got some more super chats here. And we've got Big Dan the Man Erickson checking in with a $5 super chat. Folks, we got 318 people live. I think we should be at 400 at some point in the show. So share the internet address. Big Dan says, was not Iran called the Persian Empire back in the day? So are modern day Iranians Persians or Muslims or both? Well, there are Muslims there, no doubt. But not all Iranians are Muslims. Persians is a nationality. Muslim is a religious affiliation. So when I meet Iranians or people from Iran or from the country that is now known as Iran, they refer to themselves as Persians, right? So you can be an Iranian Persian who's converted to Islam, or you can just be an Islamic person in Iran. But I believe most of the people who are part of the government structure that are Muslims are also ancient Persians, if you will. But there's not a lot of Persian people that are happy with the Muslim control that's over them. And lots of people have been killed as a consequence of that. Lots of people have been killed as a consequence of that. Like, the government coming and arresting your family in Iran for saying they don't like the government. They don't like the government's religion. Follow me on this, folks. If you're in Iran, Persia, the Persian Empire, and there's a takeover, a hostile takeover of your government by a religious sect that believes it's superior to everyone else, and if they don't like you, they'll throw you in prison, throw your kids and your family in prison, and kill you or work you to death. Now, just the other day, an Israeli writing about the United States of America, now that they have a lot of control over our government, said that Americans that don't agree with what Israel has to say, if they're anti-Semites, they, and quite possibly their family also, need to be arrested and thrown in concentration camps. Sounds a lot like the Iranian religious wackos. Yes, the Zionist Talmudic Jews think they're superior to everyone else, and that it's okay to throw people in prison, kill them, rob them, steal from them, control their country, etc., because they're chosen. Well, the Muslims think the same thing, folks, so it's okay, I guess. I don't like it, folks. I don't like it one bit. Thank you, Big Dan, for that great support. And now we're going to go to Courageous Cat, who has a $50 super chat. And you are correct. I, John, need more scotch. Brains are on overload as I have gone through everything that's happening. Thank you, Courageous Cat. Folks, we've got our hands. We got a lot of shit. A lot of shit. Oh, okay. A member of the CIA, that's the Central Intelligence Agency. I'm going to let this be your topic, Courageous Cat. A former CIA agent has admitted that the CIA is well aware of all the pedophilia and that they're part of the program. I'm going to read you a quote from this member of the CIA. Our embassies and military bases are used for trafficking children. We breed children for pedophilia and child sacrifice. The rite of passage, meaning you can't become one of them until you've gone through this rite of passage. The rite of passage for our political leaders is to abuse children, engage in pedophilia, and kill them. Pedophilia is the induction glue. It is how the deep state recruits and controls people. It is also the Achilles heel. I believe that once the public is fully aware that the government isn't interested in protecting their children, everything about the government would be called into question. I am on record as a former CIA operations officer saying that our bases overseas are not there for national defense. They are there to serve as lily pads for the smuggling of guns, gold, cash, drugs, and small children. The CIA agent was Robert David Steele, who I used to listen to. He's a dead guy. He's not a dead man walking. He's already a dead guy. Otherwise, you'd be seeing him all over the internet, don't you think? Now, do you agree? Do you believe that? We're 1 hour into the show, folks. Share that internet address up above. Super chat button right up there will get you right here. $50 super chat will get me a scotch on top of it all. Anyways, thank you, Courageous Cat, for that. I needed the shot. And it's amazing, right? The rite of passage. In other words, once you're elected, they try and get you into this corruption unless they get you into the corruption ahead of time. Ahead of time. Meaning you aren't even allowed to run for Congress or the Senate unless they can get you in a room and compromise you with drugs, hookers, underage girls. Once they get you in a room and go, oh yeah, by the way, that chick we just let you have sex with is 14. Oh yeah, big boobies. Yeah, lots of makeup. Yeah, she played the part really well, didn't she? Whoops, now we own you. The rite of passage for our political leaders is to abuse children, engage in pedophilia, and kill them. Yeah, I'm starting to believe that the higher you rise in power, the more pedophilia, criminality, and even murder you've committed. In other words, you don't get to go to the top unless your rite of passage includes all of that. It's interesting, though. He says pedophilia is the induction glue. You and I, we think of it as we voted for this person. They said they would do something, and they take an oath on the Bible. Funny, though, isn't it? Funny. Just kind of funny. It's not really funny. But all of these people, they pretend like they're good, decent people. But what do we learn from them? You call them out on their shit, they freak out and get mad at you. Just like Trump. We're asking, demanding, screaming for the Epstein files. What does he do? He calls us idiots, makes fun of us, says he doesn't need us, says we're a bunch of idiots and conspiracy theorists. As we find out more and more information about him. More and more information about him, huh? We're going to have trouble this week, folks. We're going to have trouble this week. The Dow in the last 5 days is down 1,890 points. 1,890 points. It's down at 46,682 currently. I think pre-market is down 842. Yeah, it's flicking, it's moving. We've got another, and this is pre-market. This isn't even the market's open. The only traders here right now are insiders, banks. They're selling out. Remember just, what was it, a week and a half ago? The Bimbo Bondi was telling us during an Epstein sex trafficking committee meeting in Congress, what did she do? She said, why are we talking about this? The Dow is at 50,000. As if we're supposed to go, oh, okay, then rape all the kids you want. You guys are doing great. Well, currently we're down 3,300 points from that. Actually, more like 3,500. Yeah, that's quite a bit, don't you think? Quite a bit. In 1 month, the Dow has come down, oh yeah, $3,545. Whoops-a-daisy. Yeah, we're in big trouble, folks. The government thinks that we're retarded and that they can threaten us with sending our sons and daughters to fight for another country that is controlling our country because of the pedophilia they have over the top of us. Just absolutely unbelievable. Okay, let's have some more fun here. Where are we going? What do you guys want to talk about? Holy cow, for some reason I missed all these chats, but it's Yankee Watchdog. What? $50 super chat donation. What? Oh, you're going to love this shit. I just read one word, Colorado. Colorado. Yankee Watchdog, you are a longtime subscriber and supporter as well. I want to thank everyone here. This is truly fucking outrageous. Truly outrageous. He says, John, it's not just the world that's messed up. Semper Fi, I get you, Yankee. Down the hatch, brother. To talk this topic, Colorado is looking to pass a bill. If you own firearms, you need to install a 24/7 camera inside your home so they can check up on you. Fuck that. Remember when we used to, this used to be a huge topic, guys. If you're old as me, if you're 40 and older, you might know. If you're 50 and older, there's no way you can't know. There used to be this thing called privacy. It had everything to do with the 4th and 5th Amendment of the Constitution. Privacy. That was what we were worried about. Now, we all have these cell phones, right? There's no fucking privacy. It's listening to me right now. All I've got to do is talk about giant black green dildos, and I guarantee there's going to be an advertisement for giant black or green dildos in my apps when I open them. Privacy. The idea, the concept stems from the Constitution and being secure in your papers, in your person, in your homes. I just may have to read this one. Now the government uses foreign intelligence services like Mossad, MI6, Australia to spy on us. They are a foreign government. They spy on us, me and you, and then they sell that information or give that information to the United States government. How is that remotely respecting our rights? The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effect against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. Okay. Having a camera in your house, you are no longer secure. This is where the concept of privacy made it. This is how they worded it, right? Securing your persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures. Well, they're not going to search anything. They're not going to seize anything. But if they see something they don't like, they're going to say, that's justification for entering the home. And here's how this goes. No warrant shall issue, but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Let's see. No one shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself. If they've got a camera in your house, you now have a witness against yourself that you've allowed in there. In other words, this law is completely fucking unconstitutional. It's out of control. Nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. That's of course eminent domain. Wow, good scotch. Thank you. Can feel it kicking in. This is out fucking rageous. Colorado, isn't Colorado also the state that said, hey, you can have children as sex slaves. You can sell children. Or is that California? Or is that both? We're trying to say you can prostitute your children. You can have slaves. I believe it is Colorado. Slaves. Unfucking believable. Slaves. You can. Every TV, right? Unbelievable, folks. You see, it's bullshit like this. Yes, Colorado's legalizing prostitution of children. In California, any adult can take a child to get sex change operation, get started. Question everything. Question everyone. The only way to stop these people isn't voting. We don't have a democracy. We're supposed to have a constitutional republic. We're supposed to have that, right? But, you know, against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be infringed. I mean, they wrote it pretty clear. The Second Amendment is absolutely clear. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. They infringe the fuck out of that all the time, don't they? Adding requirements to gun ownership, the Second Amendment, is an infringement. It infringes on your rights and protections under the 4th and 5th Amendment. It infringes upon your rights in the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, right? How about the third? Fuck it. Let's just throw that in there. If you have a gun in your house, you need to have somebody who's law enforcement live with you, right? They infringe on every fucking thing, and it's not going to stop. These people won't even obey their own fucking rules they make for themselves. For example, right? We got a message here from Ooman. Yep. Got it all, Mr. Ooman. Got it all. Okay. Right. So the United States backs out of an agreement with Iran. Iran says, well, fine, then fuck you. We're not going to play by the rules that you aren't going to follow anyways. Right. Well, Europe, folks, the European Union basically said, oh, you shouldn't have said that. You shouldn't have said that. Talking to Zelensky. Voldemort Zelensky in Ukraine threatened to unleash his Nazi Ukraine military against Orban in Hungary. That's interesting. The pipsqueak homosexual believes his military, a non-NATO military, can attack a NATO member nation. NATO has an Article 5 defend each other rule. So the European Union is like, hey, you need to be nice, Mr. Zelensky. That's it. That's what you get. He fucking threatened to attack a NATO member. Why should Viktor Orban, why should Hungary be part of NATO? If all the European Union and NATO do is threaten them and tell them they need to destroy their country, destroy their spirit, destroy their culture, destroy their traditions. And here you go. You see, this is the shit. Courageous Cat, and I'm going to put you up here for that great super chat. Here we go. And speaking of law, says Courageous Cat, Virginia Senate Bill SB 624 aims to redefine Islamophobia as malicious prejudice or hatred directed towards Islam. The bill directs cops to track incidents of hate crime. Okay, the same thing with anti-Semitism. It's a complete violation of the First Amendment. We should be able to say whatever we want. How about this? Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, Islam, Talmudism, even Christianity, right? Or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or of the right of the people to peaceably assemble to petition the government for redress of grievances. We are in a really strange place. Malicious prejudice, if you listen to the tenets of Islam, if you are not one of them, you're called an infidel. And there's a number of different ways that infidels are to be dealt with. You can tax them, you can rob them, or you can kill them. Let's take a look at Israel. Israel, no, not all Israelis and Jews fall into this category. The Zionist Talmudic Jews believe that anyone who's not one of them is subhuman, not human, and that their existence warrants death, and that anything they have can be taken from them, tricked out of them, or stolen, and that they're superior, just like the Muslims. You don't hear me or any other Christian saying, we're superior to you guys, you are all subhuman. No. Right? Now, can they practice their religion? If their religion involves the use of any criminal activity, entering people's homes, stealing their property, raping their daughters. Oh, yeah, rape is good with both Islam and Talmudic Judaism, right? If their religion says commit these crimes, it's fine. That's not a religion. Or it's something very criminal and evil. I mean, can criminals form a cartel of criminality and say, hey, it's a religion? Just because we sell drugs, run drugs, prostitute women, murder for hire, and extract protection money from everyone. It's a religion. It's just part of our religion. It's cool. It's cool. It's fine. We're allowed to kill people, murder people, rape people, rob people, but that's our religion. It's cool. Interesting. Now, can Virginia, who now has a governor that's a CIA spook, can the state of Virginia pass this Senate bill, SB 624, and then go, oh my God, John is down there in Florida, and he just made a remark that's or it's Islamophobic. We can extradite him from Florida. Can Virginia send Virginia State Police, drive down to Florida, find me and arrest me for Islamophobia? What is Islamophobia? A malicious prejudice or hatred directed towards Islam. I'm not saying to kill them. I'm not saying to rob them. I'm not saying to steal their property. I'm not saying to rape their daughters is fine or wives. I'm not saying any of that. I'm not saying to kill them makes my God happy. I haven't said any of those things. That's what they say about us. But the state of Virginia is going to protect them while they say those things about us. It's not our fault that your daughter was wearing scandalous clothes. We saw some skin on her ankle, or we saw her neck, and therefore we got too excited, couldn't help it, and decided to rape someone. These people are fucked in the head. Thank you, Courageous Cat, again for this super chat donation. And Northern Hillbilly checks in and says, exactly, John, none are compatible with Western culture. That is correct. Western culture or Western moral beliefs. You see, whether you say we're Christian or just a secular system, it's based on a set of moral beliefs that you don't steal people's property, that you don't destroy people's property, that you don't hurt people, that you don't kill people, that you don't rape people, that you don't force people into sex, that you don't just, good God, right? How hard is this to get? How hard is this to get? Okay, this is an interesting one. Alan Meyer Jensen is from Europe, folks, not American. So he's got a unique perspective, and I occasionally like to share it. He says, scam. I don't know, scam, John. John, they're all there don't agree with the New World Order is a name. It's the same as anti-vax. Later, they arrest a priest for handing out a Bible, but all is fine. They block the road, play the Islam people. Yeah. So what he's saying is, he's referring to the Muslims, right? Everything that's being done in America, Canada, Australia, Europe, all the nations of Europe, the United Kingdom, is they're substituting our Western traditions, culture, beliefs, and morality. They're sweeping them aside, and they're bringing in Islam. Israelis, by the way, have called Islam the broom of Israel, meaning it sweeps the dirt out of their way. They're also saying right now that America or Christians are the broom of Israel. They're going to sweep Iran out of their way. These people are all fucked in the head. I think that's pretty much a fact, right? Right. If you read a Bible out loud in many countries, in England and in Europe, you'll be arrested. If you even display your own country's flag, you can be arrested because you have upset a Muslim. You've upset them. They're now screaming and yelling that eating outside is offensive to them. Having dogs is offensive to them. Anything that's offensive to them is a crime, and you'll be arrested. More people have been arrested in England for political crimes now, for offending people who are offended easily, way more than have ever been arrested in Iran. I read that today. Don't know if it's true, but it sounded very interesting. because it showed how many people in Iran were arrested for pissing off the Islamic Republic there. And it pales in comparison to the number of people who are being ticketed, fined, arrested, and imprisoned throughout all of this crap. Yeah, and the Muslims do block sidewalks, block roads for their prayer. I have to say that they offend the fuck out of me. And I have a right to use the sidewalk. I have a right to use a road. The only time a road or sidewalk in the United States of America can be blocked off and closed is if whoever is doing that has paid for, and been granted a special permit, special use permit, like for parades or festivals, right? You can't just walk out in the fucking street with some smelly rug that's probably covered in shit and start praying towards Mecca, wherever you're at. You know, that's interfering with other people's rights. There's a difference between authority and rights. Government has authority. We have rights. Government is authorized by us because of our rights. And someone mentioned this in the comments. I just saw the word really quick. Rights were first recognized. Rights were first recognized in a form of law called the Magna Carta in England. The king was being a prick. He was put to the sword and said, "You're going to recognize that you are not godlike. Understand this. You're not godlike. You're just the king. In fact, the king's duty is to protect his people." I think everyone's forgotten that, because now everyone seems to think, and certainly kings seem to think, that they rule over everyone and they can do whatever the fuck they want. And they can kill as many people as they want. And they can, no. The king's duty is to protect his people. The people have a duty to serve the king, and the king's duty is to serve the people. Right? It's maybe a little off on a little bit. That's basically the gist. In our country, the government has a duty to perform as commanded in the Constitution. That includes arresting pedophiles and incarcerating them and hanging and killing traitors. Instead, it gives aid and comfort, and it hides them and even rewards them. Now, it's just, the whole system is fucked, folks. Even our government thinks it has the right to do things. Our government only has authority, and when it fails to live up to its responsibilities, then we, the people, have the right to get rid of it. America has to collapse. America is going to collapse on itself. Okay, so we had the Magna Carta was the first organic or written law, and then you have the Declaration of Independence. That was the next major. That's a next major piece of written information that says, hey, people, we run this show, not the government, not the king, not the Pope, nobody. That's what the First Amendment was about, and also the second. Anyways, a lot of comments. This is what happens when I don't have Uman or Jolene helping out. Folks, what do you want to talk about? What's on your mind? Super chat button right up there. And this is interesting. How about this? Israel and U.S. have begun massive strikes on Iranian oil depots and refineries. And we've got major escalation, right, over the weekend. Iran, in retaliation, fired missiles at the Haifa refinery. Now, here's what's going on that the mainstream won't tell you, is all these nations that are in this area, they're basically between Israel and Iran, and all these countries are around it. They're told by Iran, if the U.S. attacks them from their countries, then Iran will target the infrastructure of those nations for being participants. I think it was in Bahrain where their desalination, where they get their water from, is taking ocean water and taking everything out of it, reverse osmosis, so that they have drinkable water. Well, they're getting hit now, right? If any country is harboring and aiding the United States of America and its military, and they get hit, they're going to fire and punish them back. In other words, you have to pick a fucking side here, right? Iran is going to target the infrastructure of nations being and acting as participants. The effect that's going on right now is Middle East nations are pissed off, and they're pulling away from the United States. They already don't like Israel, folks. But now the United States is the vassal state of Israel because of AIPAC, the America-Israeli Pedophile Action Committee. Right? The United States is a vassal. It's a subservient state to Israel. So these other nations, full of multi-millionaire, billionaire, mega billionaire, oil sheikhs, etc. Right? So why do you think, as we've sat here, the Dow is down 859 points? It doesn't open until 9:30 Eastern time tomorrow, over 12 hours away, and already huge sell-off. Huge sell-off in gold, almost 1% down on gold. And silver right now currently is down over 2%. They're selling off American stocks. They're just selling it off. All right, we've got a super chat here. Let's check it out. And again, thank you, Yankee Watchdog. We're going to go on to Big Dan the Man. He said, America is the dog with a lot of Israeli fleas. Yeah, no shit. That cracked me up. Good one, John. Your sense of humor and satire is why I love your show. An American. I tell you what, man. Thank you, Dan. You guys, if it wasn't for you, the show wouldn't exist. It'd just be me talking to myself, I guess. But you guys have become subscribers, and you've done great. You've used the super chat button to support the show. You've shared the message, and we've grown, and we're continuing to grow. Right? We've got 2 channels up, one with almost 80,000 subscribers, and then one with over 5,000 and growing. We're also on the preparedmind.club, our own website. Your donations like this one here help contribute and support that. Otherwise, I would have to get another job just to pay for it and the lights and everything else. Anyways, Big Dan, I'm glad you enjoy the humor. I try and inject humor where I can because I think it's important. At the same time, the subject matter is just fucking off the wall crazy. Thank you, Big Dan. Let's move on to David on the Bayou. Sounds like we got someone from Louisiana. He says, I'm having a hard time expressing how done I am with our current government. Brother, we're all there. It's like everything, really? Trump has done a 180 on every fucking thing. Everything. How can we not be done with it? Here, you aren't the only one, David. How about this guy? You probably heard of him. He's a Hollywood legend, James Woods. He's also a social media legend. Social media legend as a Republican. He says, I am done. He's done with the Republican Party. He's been done with the Democrats. That's the other half of the government. He's now done with the fucking Republican Party. So why are conservatives so disgusted? Well, we voted for Trump, and we've gotten none of the changes for better that we were promised. The Department of Government Efficiency, all the billions and trillions, forget it. Fuck it. We're going to seal up the border. Might as well just open the border again. He's already going to give everyone amnesty. He's decided that regime change is something he's going for. In fact, we got regime change in Venezuela. I didn't know that was on the ballot. And they're saying Cuba's next, Cuba's next, Cuba's next, including lighting the loafers, fruitcake, ladybug, Lindsey Graham. is going after Cuba. In fact, folks, Israel is threatening now to go after Turkey. Turkey is the single, well, after the United States of America, the single largest on the continent of Europe military is Turkey, of all fucking countries. Turkey. What do you think of that shit, right? David, I am just like you and many others. We're having a hard time with this fucking government because it's being controlled by special interests. The Israelis, once again, major corporations, lawyers, manufacturers, foreign interests like George Soros, right? We're seeing a two-tier justice system where if you, David, or me, or anyone doesn't pay their fucking taxes, guess what? You go to jail. You get your house taken from you and sold. Everything is wrong with what's going on, folks. Everything. I'm glad this is interesting. We got Northern Hillbilly saying, new people in the chat, the awakening is happening. Yes, the awakening is happening. People have had enough. We're disgusted and pissed off. This is interesting, though. Viking says this, I don't believe for a second that Trump is subservient to Israel. Nobody can tell Trump what to do. He's simply trying to preserve the United States and the West. However, there are a bad handful of rhinos. Viking, I mean, I appreciate your opinion. My question for you then, if Trump is not subservient to Israel, why did he stand on a stage with Mark Levin, who outside of all professional and high political conduct wrapped his arm around Trump and shook him like he owns him, like he's a little kid. The only thing he didn't do is fuzz his hair and tell everyone in the world that Trump is a Jew. And Mark Levin has been all over the media for months, absolutely attacking anyone who questions AIPAC or Israel's motivation or Benjamin Netanyahu's motivation. And for Trump to stand on a stage with Miriam Adelson, and she says she's going to run him for the third term, and they've given $250 million, Miriam Adelson, with $250 million. You say Trump is not subservient to Israel. You know, how do we know he's not when everything he's doing is in line with what Israel wants? There is no way America could be hit by Iran with a nuclear missile. But there's no evidence that they have a bomb or an intercontinental ballistic missile or a bomb that fits in an intercontinental ballistic missile that could reach America. Iran hasn't even tested a nuclear weapon. So the question is, why were they such an imminent threat? And we were told by some knucklehead that Iran's been an imminent threat for over 40 years. They've never had a nuclear weapon. So how can they be that? Why did we have to? Right? We were given two stories, Viking, and this was what was confusing is, well, Israel attacked Iran, so we had to attack them right away because they would respond. In other words, it's like having your little brother who's 5 and you're 15 walk over to another 5-year-old and punch that 5-year-old kid. And then you punch the 5-year-old kid as a 15-year-old and go, we don't want you to hit our little brother back who just hit you. You know, it's very odd. It's right. The stories don't make sense. I believe that Trump is very subservient to Israel. He has now gone to and paid homage. He's gone to and paid homage, right? His respects to Rabbi Schneerson. And Rabbi Schneerson is supposed to be the Messiah right? Their great leader that teaches them their Zionist Talmudic ways. Why would the president of the United States do that? It's very rough. I've been trying to defend Trump for months, and he just keeps going the wrong way. Now he's saying it's fine for parents as long as they agree to have their children transitioned, to give them permanent mind-altering, physiologically altering drugs and permanent surgeries to change their genders. Right? That is a Jewish Talmudic belief and system of thinking, that there's other genders and that transgenderism is good. Why would Trump change his mind on that? Why would he all of a sudden be doing everything Israel wants? I mean, if you don't believe he didn't convert to Judaism, he didn't put his hand on the Christian Bible when he was sworn in as president, right? But he's controlled by them because of what? Pedophilia, the Epstein files, where his name is mentioned thousands and thousands of times. I mean, maybe you believe he's not subservient to them because of Epstein files, but he's subservient to them because of, well, he's become one of them. His daughter married, what's his face? Can't remember his fucking name. Jared Kushner, who is part of this Chabad Lubavitch Jewish Zionist organization. And they brag about how they control the entire government of the United States, and they have controlled them. They brag about it openly. It's just, I tell you, man, I'm disgusted with the government. I'm disgusted with what they agree to. I'm disgusted with the judges, the courts, the legislatures, the law enforcement, the FBI, they're pushing for our destruction. I guess we'll own nothing and like it. Anyways, Viking, thank you, sir, for allowing me to present this. As far as a bad handful of rhinos, I do think that Trump is getting information from people. This much I can agree with. There's a handful of rhino Republicans in name only telling him, you're the most popular president ever. Everyone agrees with everything you're doing. Oh my God, the people say you should support transgenderism for children. The people say they want to see Iran destroyed. The people are saying you need to be Israel's good buddies because we love the Judeo-Christian bullshit they've thrown at us. Right? It's a tough one. It's tough, man. All right, let's move on. We've got what do we got? Matt D checking in with a $10 super chat. So he says, so is Iran an 8-week war, or will we be told Monday it'll be 12 weeks? We should have let Israel attack on their own. Okay, Matt, here's the score. We were told it was going to be 1 or 2 days. Yeah, we're going to go in there. It's going to be like Venezuela. Just bomb the shit out of them. They'll give up. They'll capitulate, and everything will be fine. We were told last summer that just dropping a couple of bombs on them fixed the problem. And then we're told, no, it's going to be a few more days. It's going to be a few weeks. So now it's 8 weeks. Can it grow to 12 weeks? Is it success dependent? Right? The confusion level is fucking off the hooks. We should have never had anything to do with this. Unless, and even this bugs the shit out of me, right? The Gulf War. We had a coalition of nations. Lots of European nations and other nations joined America, Canada, and Australia, and Britain. And we went in there. So all the nations agreed it's a good idea to go fight this war against Iraq. There was no coalition building for this, for joining Israel to attack Iran. It's very nasty business. And there's no clear objective that's been explained to us. We're now being told there's going to be boots on the ground. We're being told there's going to be a draft. All of these are possibilities. We're being told that a nuclear weapon is also not out of the question. Now, these could all be things that are meant to psychologically pressure Iran. we're gonna tell them we're gonna put our draft and we're gonna send all of our men and women into that country and we're even gonna nuke you guys, right? Sure, that's part of misinformation, disinformation, propaganda campaign. Hey, we didn't win in 2 days. Hey, this could take 8 weeks or 12 weeks. We're going to keep bombing you forever. Well, are we bombing infrastructure in Iran? Well, that's just going to hurt civilians. Right? So that war can really escalate when the civilians on all sides start getting injured by this. Right? The other nations around and between Iran and Israel, they're tired of getting bombed. They're tired of having their infrastructure. They're tired of suffering. Oh, by the way, in Dubai, you can't get food. You can't get water. You can't get bottled water. They're running out of all that shit. It's a fucking mess. It's a fucking mess. Anyways, Matt, thank you very much. I don't know how long it's going to be. There's a threat of impeachment. I don't know if they're going to do that. There's a threat of using the 25th Amendment to say Trump is out of his fucking gourd. Again, that was originally created for having a president who's in a coma and not awake. They can't act as president. But can it be applied for dementia? Well, we talked about that for Joe Biden. The dude's not even himself. He doesn't know where he's at. He just craps his pants all day. Yeah, crazy business. Anyways, thank you, Matt, very much for that. Okay, we're now going to go to Big Dan, the man with a $10 super chat. Pow! He says, I have lived in the Seattle area for 58 years and heard many stories from younger women back in the day of Bill Gates and Gall Allen's parties on their Lake Washington multimillionaire properties. Sick. Well, it would seem to me that you're just going to leave it at that. That I'm not going to get any other details. Can't keep up with all the conversations. That's a man's job. Yeah. Big Dan, it's crazy. Right. There used to be a time in America where men, probably mostly 95% of the time, exercised and abused their wealth and their power and their position to get sexual favor from women. But now it seems to, they seem to have, while we have the no sexual harassment and everything else, now if we look at the global elites, especially those in America, with the Hollywood industry, the movie industry, the music industry, and big business, it seems like not only do they use their positions of power and their wealth and their influence to get sex, they also use drugs, psychological warfare, and threats, blackmail, extortion to get what they want out of women. And the women that are part of this are just as bad and just as awful. For example, Jizzy Maxwell was referred to as being more evil and more twisted and more sick than Jeffrey Epstein. That's saying a lot, basically, from what we've heard about Jeffrey Epstein, huh? We've heard about Bill Gates. What has Bill Gates done? Well, he slept with some Russian hookers, got some VD, venereal disease, sexually transmitted diseases, and then came home and had sex with his wife and then tried sneaking his wife drugs so that she wouldn't know. I mean, what the fuck kind of thinking is that? I mean, it's like they're supposed to be the smartest people ever. But you would think that, okay, Gil Bates, you want to sleep with Russian hookers? Why don't you preemptively take some penicillin and ampicillin and robicillin and whatever cillins you can get before you get home to your wife, dumbass? They're not that fucking smart. They aren't that smart. They're just a bunch of evil fucks. And after reading about all of these sick bastards and what they've done in the Epstein files, as well as the memoirs of people like Virginia Giuffre, it is horrifying. And seeing literal video of children sitting on a couch for the police to talk. They're talking about how they dismembered babies, infants, and ate them and prepared them. And we haven't even gotten the really, I mean, it's hard for me to say this because it makes no sense. Thank you, Big Dan, you're the man. It's hard to say the words. Well, let me just put up here. The information coming out will be insane for normies. The information coming out is so hard to believe already. It is unfucking believable. But this is interesting. Here, let's go into it a little bit here. David Copperfield. Everyone knows David Copperfield. He's a magician. He performs in Las Vegas. He's super cool. He's been around a long time. He's got to be a great guy, right? David Copperfield apparently is leaving Vegas after 25 years because his name was in the Epstein files. So he's going to leave. Huh? He's going to sell his house, sell his property, and what? Go live in Israel? Wouldn't surprise me a bit. Also, the Epstein files show that the FBI asked questions, learned about David Copperfield's predilection for minors. That means he likes to fuck underage kids. He's a pedophile. So now he's going to leave, right? So there's more coming out. Copperfield, the magician, and thousands of other pedophiles have been known about. Some have been revealed. 0 arrests. They're all being given a chance, folks, to sell their assets. They're all being given a chance to sell their assets, right? As this information is slowly being dripped out. They're being given a chance to flee the nation. By the way, I think we need international pedophile hunters, the same way we had Jewish Nazi hunters after World War II. Does anyone know about that shit? The Nazi hunters? Jewish Nazi hunters went around the world, and if they found a Nazi, they would make sure that they got arrested and held accountable. Nazis arrested no matter where they were, captured and held accountable for being Nazis. Don't you think we should have an international pedophile hunters organization where if you find anyone in the Epstein files, the local law enforcement has to arrest them and they have to be held accountable for their crimes against children? And that should include magicians, even David Copperfield, who's probably going to do some magic and make himself invisible, right? Make himself disappear. I'm telling you, folks. Just fucking wow. 0 arrests, folks. 0 arrests. Now, isn't it funny that Israel is the biggest pedophile nation on the planet? They approve of pedophilia. Their religion approves of pedophilia. They're completely, as a nation, as a government, tied through not only the government, but also their intelligence agency, the Mossad, to Jeffrey Epstein, who himself is an Israeli and a Jew with American citizenship, using his power and his coordination to rope everyone into being pedophiles so they can control them. But now they're on the run. I think fate has a sense of irony because we had international Nazi hunters who were Jewish. And now it looks like we're going to have a big call for international pedophile hunters and go after all these Israelis. All right. Big Dan's back again. He's the big guy on this awesome, March 8th. Woo! He says, I'm 65 years old. In that 2 years have made me more dollars in my stocks and precious metals than I've made 5 years at my job. The market is good, so don't blink. Well, The market is good, so don't blink. It could change in a minute. Right now, the Dow futures have dropped another 100 points. They're down 929 points. The market's not even open, folks. This is pre-market. Gold is now down $90 fucking as I speak. 84, 90, 84. Okay, yeah, there we are. Silver is down, well, it was down $3. Now it's $2.77. It's very volatile, up and down, well over 3% down in Asian markets. I have said that owning gold and silver is how you protect your wealth. I have never sold an ounce of silver. Right there. I wish I had lots of ounces of gold to sell. But anyways, ounce of silver. What they're playing right now is paper games. Paper games. Paper games. They are trashing the paper markets. That ounce of silver that sits here is going to be there tomorrow and the next day and the week and the month after. It'll never lose value as silver. It'll just lose or gain value in US dollars. The US dollar is in itself in big, big, big trouble, my friends. We're in big trouble with the US dollar because, as we discussed, all these nations, these oil-producing nations in the Middle East, they're pissed at the United States of America that they promised peace and they're delivering war. They have a board of peace and instead its leader and founder, Trump, has decided war is good. Incredibly crazy stuff, folks. The world is insane. The world is insane. By the way, in Oslo, Norway, the U.S. Embassy was hit. Loud explosion, folks. The police there are calling it a deliberate attack. A deliberate attack. Any attack with a fucking bomb is a terror attack. Terrorism is upticking globally. Dissatisfaction with people in their respective countries is growing, upticking, if you will. Oh, by the way, Norway arrested an Epstein client. Their former prime minister was on the Epstein list, and they've arrested him for his association with Epstein, and by extension, Israel. And now, kaboom! Surprise. Also, Mayor Mandami in New York City has had protests at his place and bombs brought to his home. But, you can't say anything about Israeli terrorism or Muslim terrorism. No. But expect more. Don't blink. I tell you, what are you supposed to do? Right? Let's just say you've got $1 million in Wall Street, and you've done really well like Dan has the last couple of years. You've done really well with your portfolio. And you're like, I don't trust the market. I'm going to cash out. And so you put $1 million in the bank, and, well, what if the bank closes? What if the bank collapses? What if the bank fails? We've got banking issues. Where do you put your wealth? A lot of people say you buy land. That's a great way to buy land. But then you have to pay the government a fee. You have to pay the government a peasant tax for having property. But still, at least you have the land, right? Possession is 9/10 of the law. Or you could put it in gold and silver. That's a good place to put it. But then you aren't guaranteed of its purchasing power, but at least you don't lose any ounces. What else can you do with your money? Cars, boats, depreciating assets, trying to buy in real estate in foreign countries. If you can even buy it, you certainly don't own it. You're just renting that from the government. What else do? Do you hang out in the stock market? What if what we're seeing continues and we enter a solid recession that both the government and Wall Street and the mainstream media has to agree it's a recession? What if it keeps falling down into a depression? So your $1 million in the stock market becomes, 900,000, 700,000, 400,000. We can lose anywhere from 50 to 90% of the value in the stock market. A lot of companies could just completely disappear. What do you do? Where can you go? I would rather, if I had $1 million, have $1 million in silver than $1 million in paper. Right? Silver has been going up better than anything on the stock market. Same with gold. The only thing that's done better than gold is silver. Bitcoin hit 120 on its all-time high, but it's down right now at 66,000 on its way down as well. Yeah, not good for Bitcoin. It went down to 65,600 earlier. It's sitting right at 66,000. Where do you go? How can you protect your wealth? If you don't own it, you don't hold it. But then, well, if you've got $1 million in gold, I guess you're going to need some guns and ammunition. You're going to need medicine, food, water, shelter, clothing. Oh, yeah. Be a prepper. Because we don't know where this is going. We could end up in an extremely nasty Middle East war that the rest of the world boycotts America over for causing all this trouble with Israel. Right or wrong, whether you agree or not. The fact is the market's going down. The fact is, right, oil is going up. In war, gold should go up, but the rest of the world doesn't like trading on the COMEX. The rest of the world doesn't like trading silver on the COMEX. They want a real physical discovery price, a value for gold and silver. Right? They've had it with this shit going on with, well, England, the city of London specifically, and America, specifically Washington, D.C. and New York. They're not happy with it. But where do you go? Right? The rest of the world is splitting off from America. That's basically, at this point, the best case scenario I see for us. We're going to have economic hardships because of it. It could get worse. It could become a world war where all over the world there's skirmishes. How about this? North Korea invades South Korea, then starts threatening Japan. China decides it's going to take Taiwan and some of the islands in the Pacific. And Europe has had enough of Romania and Viktor Orban and Hungary, and so they want to go after him. And they start invading people, and they send more missiles down to Ukraine, and they start shooting missiles into Russia. So Ukraine gets obliterated by fucking Russia for it. Over here in America, yeah, let's invade Venezuela, then Colombia, then Cuba, then Mexico. Then, hey, fuck it. Why don't we just take Canada, right? Woo! It's a mess. Now, if you're in Canada, I mean, isn't the Prime Minister of Canada like Trump in the Epstein files? I mean, where do you go? What can you do for safety? I mean, you need to be a fucking prepper. I can't see any other way around this. I can't. Unless you're super rich. And then you can just do whatever you want. Right? You can be like Mark Zuckerberg or Oprah Winfrey and build a mansion and a bunker in Hawaii. Oh, by the way, the Brazilian faith healer, John of God, has been promoted by Oprah Winfrey because he was an inspiring figure of spiritual miracles. Well, he's gotten 118 years in prison for an untold number of rapes of women from age, I think, 9 to 67. So Oprah, celebrities, rich people, and anyone who is allied with the super rich, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, right? The Chabad Lubavitch, they can't be held accountable because they're better than everyone else. They're above us all. Folks, I got to tell you, this has been a hell of a show. Thank you, Big Dan. Thank you for all the great super chats. It's a very upsetting world. It really is. It's a very upsetting world because of all of the criminality and the fucking evil and the pain and suffering that's being brought on civilians. The fact that our politicians lie to us and then they keep lying to us and they don't give a shit about us. They pretend to listen, but they don't really care. Right? We have evil in the streets. We have evil in media. We have evil everywhere. We have evil everywhere. Oh, Wind River has done a $20 super chat donation. Wind River, if you've got something to say, get it in the comments here. Yeah, Carney did sell all of Canada's gold, and England sold all of their fucking gold. Yeah, you can still get gold maple leafs from Canada. You can get gold Britannias from London, England, but they don't have vaults full. Okay, I am going to give Wind River here a couple of seconds to get a comment into the comment section. I don't want anyone to do a super chat donation and not have an opportunity. What do we got here? Make sure I didn't miss it up here. I'm not seeing it. Let's see. I tell you, a whole lot has happened since I was in the fifth wheel. Been to the RMZ and then to Florida. The world has changed. You got a $3 super sticker from Jay Miskinnis. Thank you, sir. Looking for Wind River. And I would agree that Alan's English is getting better. Mine may be getting worse. Anyways, Wind River, thank you for the great donation. There we go. Miss Guinness, I think you've had more scotch than me, man. This is my contribution to the feed and clothing of the Prepared Mind and the John for President 2028 campaign. They'll never let me be president, man. They would kill me before I even got close. What is the war in Iran about? Is it about regime change? Is it about freeing the women? No. The White House has officially told us. The official named Jared Agen has revealed Trump's administration wants to, quote, get all of the oil out of the hands of terrorists. Acquisition. That sounds good, right? We need to get all of the oil out of the hands of terrorists. Okay, the truth finally. It's not about democracy. It's not about freeing women. It's not about human rights. It's about controlling energy. Because if you control energy, you control the people. Electricity, travel, standard of living, food, farming, everything. Basically, folks, energy and controlling of it allows governments to make slaves of its people to the system. So if the United States if it controls all the oil through its demands on Iran, Venezuela, all the Middle East countries, and Russia, well, then they control everything. They don't control Russia. They now control Venezuela. But what about the Middle East? Okay, I'll get on this one, Northern Hillbilly. Hey, John, did you see the Marine speak up? Then they broke his arm. Yeah, there was a Marine. He's from North Carolina. He's running for office. He was he was in Congress at the Armed Services Committee meeting at the Senate. He was in his dress blues, wearing his medals. He's a former Marine, meaning he's not active duty currently. And basically he stood up in front of everyone there while the committee was in session, and he yelled, "Nobody wants to die for Israel." And he kept shouting that message, right? He ended up getting tackled by the Capitol. I did talk about this the other night in great detail. He was attacked by two policemen. They didn't walk up to him nicely and say, "Hey, you're not allowed to talk in here. You're not allowed to participate. You need to leave." They didn't ask him to leave, and then he refused. And then they would have had to put their hands on him and arrest him and remove him, or put their hands on him and remove him. He didn't They didn't go through this. You're not allowed to do this. Please sit down or leave. We're asking you to leave. Oh, you're not going to leave. Now we're going to have to put our hands on you and drag you out of here. And then if you still resist, we're going to have to arrest you. The first fucking thing they did was attack him and tackle him down and start fighting with him. And he didn't want to leave. He wanted, at that point, he's got one hell of a case, a lawsuit. I know that's not what he was there for, but he made his point. He hooked his arm. He hooked his arm around a door, and then it got stuck in this weird door system they have there. And a senator, Tim Sheehy, who is a she-he, in my opinion, he decided he was going to go help, pushed on him, slammed on him, and busted his radius and ulna. Miskinnis says, I believe he used the word fight, not die. I may be wrong, though, but I rarely am. He may have said both. We don't want to fight. Americans don't want to fight. The military doesn't want to fight. We don't want to die for Israel. And I think maybe fight was the accurate word. Thank you very much for straightening me on that one. But Nikki has a good point here. Just so you know, that's how our country treats people who speak their truth. Right? There are some people that want to go in there and just fight anybody and kill anybody for any reason. Other people are like, you know what? I'm here to defend my country, the United States of America, against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I see our government in Washington, D.C. as being chock full of domestic terrorists and domestic enemies. You don't have to be wearing a bomb vest to be the terrorist. You can be in charge, have power and authority, and you're a terrorist, but you have other people do your dirty work. Our country's in big trouble, and that was a huge display and a shameful display on the part of government in Washington to do what they did to that combat veteran, the Marine. It's going to get worse, folks. Right? We can't always be right. We can't always be the smartest. We can't always know. But, we can't always be right, but strive to do your very best. Get prepared. That's one of the most productive things you can do, is to have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan. Truly. I agree with you guys looking at the end of the comments here. The Marine, he didn't say ouch. He didn't scream. He was in pain a little bit later. I'm sure the adrenaline is what protected him from the pain immediately, but it was an audible snap of his radius and ulna. Nasty stuff. Folks, I want to tell you thank you. God bless you. Semper Fi. Thank you for the donations. Thank you for sharing opinions in the comments. Thank you for sharing opinions with me. Agree or disagree, partially disagree, doesn't matter. We're all here to learn from each other. And as I said at the beginning, talking about how truth is the first casualty of war. And the fact that we're lied to by everyone up and down the entire system. All I have is my opinion, folks. But I see what I see, and I look far and wide. I hear what I hear, and I listen to everything I can. I listen to Democrats. I listen to independents. I listen to Republicans. I listen to the Israelis. I listen to the Iranians. I listen to the Europeans. I listen to the Japanese, who, by the way, are getting rid of this notion that they should become a Muslim shithole. Chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. To everyone in the military, veteran, private citizen, non-member, right? Always be faithful to what you believe in your head and your heart. Semper Fi.